Hello ladies and gentlemen, Dave Dobbs here. It's Christmas Day, very early. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning here, so I should be in bed, but I finished this new astronomical model actually on the solstice. I finished it on the 23rd, and I was absolutely exhausted, and I tried to make a video and it really didn't turn out too well, and I was tired, and I wanted to do all the overlays, or as many of the overlays as I could, and I was just too tired to do any of that at the end of that. Plus the computer was, the computer's out of juice now. I've borrowed someone's charger, but when I use some of the big programs to make some of these models, it just absolutely wrecks my computer. It just puts it through its paces. It really does. It huffs and it puffs, and because they're kind of animation packages, and I'm not a great animator. I'm using Universe Sandbox as my to create the animation, and then I'm using kind of like a video, kind of like Final Cut Pro to do different layers and layer them. So it's very simple, but nonetheless, using this whole system, we create a bit of a gearbox. So what I'm showing you here is really, you remember in my previous video where I talked about Elon Musk had posted a woman playing some kind of what looks like a violin, but actually when you actually really look closely, it's an orrery of loads of planets all orbiting around, and she's got this whole kind of like assembly. But what's interesting is it doesn't just seem to be our solar system, it seems to be a combination of systems all overlapping, and that is ultimately, well, ironically, I had it posted on that bit, on that shot there, which was, in the build-up to the last model that I've been using since 2020, and this first kind of like grappling with the idea of how these planets how would they interact with our solar system if it was different to the Copernicus, the standard model that we're all in, which just doesn't allow for any of these massive flybys and the incredible sightings that we're getting. So I've been developing this model for a long time, and this is the latest update, and it goes from 1939 to 2034. So it's so it's got all of your birthdays and the dates when these planets were crossing. And don't see this as correct. It's not about being correct. It's the next in the scheme of triangulating where our sun's moving, and how all of these objects that seem to be coming and going, where we've seen them and in their positions over the years, and where they're heading. And this is right now. Ironically, we've got this. Well, that's where are we now? We're around about there, and we've just had this object here, what I call the red Kachina, in this specific model, has just recently crossed us. We actually went by. It crossed it. Well, it's been crossing close to this point for some time, and so I've synced it up to Earth in this model because it's the only way I can really explain it. But our attention really is coming round to next year, to the to July, August. Remembering this year, July, August, we had all of the we had 61 volcanoes simultaneously going off. I can remember I can remember going to an Extinction Rebellion rally where they were coming together to kind of like plan and organise events and to bring people into to the People's Assembly, which was an amazing experience because I really love that about Extinction Rebellion. But obviously I'm kind of at odds with the whole carbon dioxide or the carbon zero story when I see, but you know, then I was turning up. The meeting was in late August, early September, and the fundamental, it was number one on the agenda was carbon zero, number two was truth, and number three was a People's Assembly. And of course, I was going to say Piers Corbyn, but his brother Jeremy Corbyn has been talking about a People's Assembly for a long time. So I thought I'd go along and I'd present my ideas to the People's Assembly and say, look, there's going to be a load of volcanoes going to go off in a matter of days in September. I think it was September 2019. Remember in September 2018, we'd had the kind of like, I'd said, be aware of the oceanic anomalies. And sure enough, there was a massive tsunami on the 28th of September 2018, and lots of you know, these volcanoes and this seismology is becoming very, very, very predictable, as I've demonstrated over and over again, especially this time this year, sorry, where you, like I say, 61 volcanoes simultaneously going off. You know, like I say, back in 2019, it was like 9 volcanoes simultaneously going off. We were saying the Ring of Fire and 9 volcanoes, but now it's getting massive. The storms, you know, you go back every year to this same sort of place, and you'll see that the storms have been getting, you know, 2018, May the 4th, 2018. That's when we saw, you know, the long duration volcano in Kilauea, you know, on Hawaii. Going on from May the 4th and lasting quite a long time. It was about 6 weeks or something like that. And we've just seen a whole series of long duration volcanoes since then, like we've never seen, certainly since the time of Galileo. And then we're getting 61 volcanoes going off simultaneously here, whilst the build up to here from 2018 to 2023 had just been a subsequent massive build up of storms and massive flooding around the world, especially China. You know, it's just the worst storm, you know, back in 2018-19, it was like the worst storm since 1998, then the worst storm since 1930, since the discovery of Pluto, then the worst storm for 1,000 years, then the worst storms ever on record, and then we get to kind of this year, and it simply migrated further north and became the worst storms ever recorded. But it hit not in the southern provinces and around the Yangtze River, but it hit right up further north in Beijing. They were just getting, you know, just massive flooding, just rivers of cars through cities, like we're seeing all around the globe all the time. Every time you go onto YouTube now, you're just going on to seeing another mega storm, mega flooding. And this has been building up for the first time in the northern hemisphere, coming towards this grand point of crossing. And so what we're going to explore in this video is this new model, how it all works, how it pieces together, what these angles of intention mean, what the axis points of our sun relative to the axis point of this object, that all of these objects interacting with our solar system currently, this orbit at this axis point sits slightly different to this one. And so we're going to explore that, because this is how we get our seasons, and this is how we understand the forward. This angle is also key in understanding the forward motion of our sun, and that's what we need to hold. That's what I'm going to bring all of your attention back to, really, is that this is where we all need to be bringing our meditations back to, this forward motion. And I've made a mistake in my previous videos, assuming that the 21st of December was our forward motion. And in my previous videos, you'll see that if I come to, well, kind of there, because that's very close to, where's the Earth in that picture? Got so many overlays. Let me come to just of the old model without the overlays, and just come to the month December. So there's the month December. Where's Earth in that model? So I was assuming that for some reason I'd got it in my head locked into, because this model has got so many incorrections that you know, since 2020, that there's just been so many that I've just been stacking them up with this desperate trying to work out how to reassemble it correctly to kind of like make good all those corrections and make good all those errors in this model. But unless I'd laid it out, I was never going to get to this point. But actually, I wasn't that far off. I was assuming that why I'd assumed it was December the 21st. It remains because if I come to what is it, June the 21st, so we're round about there. You know, this was a slow assembly, so I wasn't actually that far away. But then I'd worked out somehow that it was the 21st of December, and I was thinking about our motion going this way, if you like, around here. And so I was suggesting that, of course, I was fundamentally forgetting our forward motion in this, and that our sun, whatever you want to call this object over here, in the new model I've called it Hercolubis, which was the name that Carlos Ferrada named it when he predicted the massive crossing and the earthquake that happened on the 20th of January 1939, the year the Second World War began. And it's so relevant. And so this new model begins on his grand flyby and then marries up all our flybys. It doesn't extend or reduce the cycles in any way. You know, there's no distorting the cycles to make something work. You know, that's what I don't do in these models, and that's true of an Orrery, a mechanical cycle that, you know, once you set in motion, those cogs are set, and so if your alignments are wrong, then they'll be wrong all the way down the line. And so that's what is magnificent about having this apparatus, because I'm basically using these models as a calculator to build like to simulate a mechanical Orrery. And so I wasn't that far, but notice here I've got this, what I'm calling Pluto in this model, and Hercolubis in the new model, because obviously Pluto is named after the sort of like gods of the underworld, and I wanted to take that away from that now. You know, I called it Pluto because I'm playing to try and bring you onto this understanding that when we keep reinventing this big blue planet every 84 years, but notice here it's on the outside and our sun is on the inside, and this is where, to account for this, you can see the flybys these flybys coming round here have to come all the way round when they should be cutting across here. They have to come all the way round and come in completely the wrong way to make the model work, and I just didn't know how to account for that. And I was so deep into the maths of this having 6 cycles, this having 5 cycles round whatever it orbits, whether we're going to want to call it a black star, a black hole, something we cannot see but we can calculate because of all the movements. So this having 5 rotations and our sun having 6, well, actually it's our sun that has 6 rotations around whatever it's orbiting, and this system that I'm calling Hercolubis has 5, and they last crossed in 262, and they're crossing again. They're at that same point, 262, 1800 years later to where we are now. So that's that. They're going to be the real changes. So let's go to the model, and let's go all the way back to 262, and we'll play at slightly faster speed, and we can see that straight after the 262 point, straight after where we are now, same point, we're just getting rapidly further and further away. We can soon come up to about kind of like 1,000 years after the death of Christ, and which is around about here. And we're right. We're as far as we can be from the system. We're on the far side of this big system that we all orbit. Let's speed that up again now, and let's come to the 1500s, when all of these systems are going to start coming into view, and the big debates about the shape of the solar system are beginning to come about as we come to this point here, as we've almost cycled round each other. We've been in relatively close proximity. This is like I say, this is the kind of like the point Galileo is seeing Jupiter. These are the back here. It's, if we go 84 years before Galileo's time, we come to when Copernicus was postulating the whole kind of idea of even though they didn't release it, of the standard model as we understand it. It was Isaac Newton who assembled it in the way we currently see it through the grand Newtonian deception, which is the model we're in. So let's just keep going to Isaac Newton's time, 1681. He was saying he was seeing, Halley's Comet, and there was also these anomalies next to the sun, and now we're going to come up to the discovery of Uranus, and then we're going to come to the discovery of Neptune, 1846. But of course 1859 is when we had the Carrington event, where everyone told us it was a massive solar flare, a massive event. But I'm bringing Saturn into this new model as well, and we're just getting very closer. We're just getting much closer. We're in, at this stage, and big objects are coming via our sun and causing massive events. And that was a massive event. Anyone in any electrical piece of machinery, it was massive. It was just got electrocuted. There was loads of electrical machinery. There was power pylons that just fell over all over America. It was a massive event from pole to pole, apparently. So we're all in close proximity. We're coming up to 1830, and the discovery of Pluto, 84 years exactly after the discovery of Neptune, which is a 165-year orbit, which is almost 2 times 84, but also notably it's exactly 165 years since the Carrington event occurred. Right now, there's all these kind of crazy dates. When you start looking at the patterns, you don't see these incredible patterns until you build astronomical models. So let's begin this on the that's pretty about as close as I can get to it, I think. So over there, what I'm calling it Jupiter, as in Galileo's Jupiter, what I'm understanding is literally Jupiter, and we are experiencing Jupiter and its moons coming around our sun. So we can see how it crosses here, and from here, this is where the Second World War, this is Carlos Rada's big prediction. Notice there's 2 massive flybys occurring, just like there was in Carlos Rada's time. And we are going to experience, this is when 1944, this is when Vesuvius last went off, and so we're coming, this is when all of these objects are crossing the ecliptic plane. As they're crossing the ecliptic plane, beyond this time, these things don't come close to any of the planets here, really. They come in from under, or they come over the top and through and under our solar system. They don't come in on the same ecliptic plane, but they did during the Second World War. And so from 1939 right up, you have to keep going forward, because this object moves one calendar month further forward every year. And by the end of the Second World War, this will be 1944, 1945. It gets to the other side. So this is the Crusade period. This is when the Christians, this is the point of crossing. This is what we're experiencing now. So we'd come forward now to the 19. Let's come forward to 86. This is when the nuclear power station went bang on. So when we had all the crazy storms of 87, and what syncs with these objects, ironically, is these objects. These are the moons of Jupiter, even though I call them the moons of Pluto in the last video, just to try and make you understand that the big blue object it's the same thing. It's a story that's every 84 years since Galileo's time, since Copernicus's time, really. We've reinvented these whole stories. And now our own story, the problem is it doesn't, with this technology, we can't make our own current model work with a moving sun. So you will not know which direction your sun moves, because you're not allowed to know, because the model doesn't give you a forward motion of your sun. That's why it's your understanding of planets, of moving in front and round the sun, or objects, exoplanets, or asteroids or comets coming in. You don't see them. No offense against whoever you are watching this video, but it's not given to you in your standard model of forward motion, because every planet that's been added to the solar system is given a different perihelion point, suggesting that the sun is moving in a different direction for each planet. Well, ultimately, if the sun is moving forward, all of the planets can only have the same perihelion point, as in they're going to come up, they're going to come round the front of the sun, and they're going to go this way, and the sun is going to go that way, and that is you're not going to have these concentric rings. It's not going to be possible. This is the fundamentals of Kepler's laws of orbital mechanics, which he came out with at the same time as Galileo was alive. All of these people were seeing all this magical astronomical phenomena, and they were able to see, because this was all in the night sky, so they were able to understand the orbital mechanics of what we currently call Kepler's rules, which we do not apply in the standard model to our own sun. We've just got all the planets going around in a perfect circle, talking about Kepler's rules, but not applying it. And so the only thing that allows all these planets to be in their present position is because of Isaac Newton, who placed them all there outside of Kepler's rules, because he said that they were placed there by the hand of God. That's how they all arrived there. That's why all of these planets, that after this big blue planet, all of these planets come back to Isaac Newton, to 1681. Basically, William Herschel's discovery of, well, his wife's discovery, to be honest with you, discovery of, after 84 years, not exactly 84 years, but it had an 84-year orbit, obviously. Uranus, discovered in Bath, ironically. Neptune, 2 times 84, obviously. Pluto, 3 times 84. Once 82 is a 63, it's a 24, 240, 252, 252-year orbit. We're exactly 84 years now after Carlos Rada's big prediction, but there's not a planet out there with an 84-year orbit, and that is the most peculiar thing. So this massive, complicated story that we're in, but is all built on these kind of 84-year supposed orbits, but nothing's actually got an 84-year orbit. So we think, well, hang on, there's 7 12s in 84, so maybe the 84-year orbit is actually 7 cycles of Jupiter. And yeah, it is. But you could think, well, hang on, is that a kind of code name for Jupiter? Or then you think, well, supposedly Saturn is, you know, about 28, 29 year orbit. And that brings 3 cycles of Saturn, brings you pretty much to 84 as well. So you're like, it's more 29 years, but, you know, we kind of, it's often also thought of a 28-year orbit, you know, so we can sort of kind of see there's all sorts of other orbits kind of half hidden in this kind of 84-year number. But I can assure you that actually in this grand deception, there's no planet with an 84-year orbit. It's so that is, you know, this we're in this kind of great sort of like cycle here, and then we come forward to 90. Let's come forward to the late 90s, and Comet Hale-Bopp coming in, and what we were calling Comet Hale-Bopp, and the beginning of all of these objects coming back to the ecliptic and coming back into view. And then we're going to come to 2004, and we're coming to the big tsunami on Boxing Day 2004, which is this big flyby here. Same thing, Jupiter again, that marries up with our 2000 and marries up with the 1939 Carlos Rada's big prediction. And then we're going to come around again to well, actually, let's just, from 2004, what are the big flybys? 2008, this one I found this is what caused the financial crash, because it came in between us and the sun. It didn't cross the ecliptic plane over here, it was still coming from under and going over. And it came in between and caused a massive earthquake in Sichuan, in the Sichuan province in China, in I think it was May, it could have been June, but June 2008. It was a massive earthquake, so much property damage, so many big skyscrapers fell over. It was so under recorded in terms of its massive impact on this planet and what it would have done to the whole property market. And they would have absolutely known this was coming through, that there was going to be a massive event. Loads of money would have been pulled out of the stock market by the big people that really know the exact movement. Of course they know the exact movements of this. This is the grand deception. But there wouldn't have been, when we come round to, you know, there wouldn't have been like massive sightings in certainly in August over here, but nonetheless in 2011, of course, that's when we get, well, 2010, 2011, that's when we get the Icelandic volcano going off on February the 26th, 2010, and then February the 27th, the big Chile earthquake again, just like in Carlos Rada's time. And then we go one year or one month forward, or one year and 13 days forward, and we get the massive earthquake and tsunami in Japan on the 11th of March 2011. And this is the pair. And ironically, I just had a little communication from a lovely communication from Becky Lewis, but she caught these shots on I'd made the video before in 2016 saying, look out for them, you're going to see them. You're going to see, I certainly see one of them coming into view on the 28th of March, because of this 200-day anomaly that enabled me to discover all these flybys back in, 10 years ago, when I was first making videos on them. And I couldn't believe I could predict these flybys every 200 days. I just couldn't understand. But then these two amazing shots of these two came into view, and Becky was just absolutely gobsmacked, because she'd caught an amazing shot before. She was just going backwards there. She was seeing both of them there, and in breathtaking detail. I'm just like, what is that? You know, it was just like, and there were two of them. Well, that's the pair. We've had many shots of the pair, and that's the pair that let's just keep coming forward to. We've got this object coming in over here. That was a real classic shot that came in. I wonder if I've got that on that video there. That was also Becky Lewis's shot as well. It's an incredible shot. That's also, we're going to come to that shot as well. That shot there. In October 2013, just an utterly breathtaking shot. That is this object coming into the sun, and then, you know, you're kind of like coming forward then to. I'm not going to bring all these shots in right now because we've had so many, but I really wanted to bring that shot in because that's so important, because that passage there is, in terms of this shot, that like I say, Jeff P posted this. Now, to me, what happened was that the big red planet had charged. I thought it was Jupiter, but it's the big blue planet, the big red planet that looks also like Jupiter as well, but it had plasma charged into the side of Mars. This was northeast, caught from, you know, North America on October the 14th, 2016. And then immediately after this event happens, this massive sun appears, and you can see this is all part of the obfuscation of this thing. You know, something was shut down by that massive plasma blast that brought this interviewer on this webcam. You can picture when we're actually we're looking, so that's June the 21st in that direction. So when we're over here, there's our October position here. But in the night sky, we're seeing this object, plasma charge, inside of Mars. We're seeing it in our night sky. That shuts down, and we're getting a view of this object. Well, they're all orbiting the sun that they're all orbiting. And it comes into view, and that's why we get that incredible vista there. And something big happened there, you know. It's and 2017, you know, the big flyby that obviously yeah, this big flyby, the one that really put me on the map. It was just such a massive flyby. Yeah, just like that one there. I mean, it's the same shot really, but there's so many magnificent shots of that. And ironically, that shot there, that was on the 13th of Jan 2017. That was such an incredible shot, and of course, that is. Ironically, I was showing that shot there as well. The on the day I turned up in America to see for this flyby, and it came in. Do you remember? It came in on the 17th of August 2017, and literally turned up on the date of the flyby, and it literally came in on that day to go to Steve Olson's big conference in America. What fun that was! You know, just us, so many people seeing this, and but that was that object flying by Earth. I mean, it's just and then so I'm just trying to come to, you know, this is obviously when May the 4th this object came in and caused the long duration volcano in Hawaii, one of the pairs. And I'm just brushing through so many of the big flybys here, really, but let's come to 2022 and 2023, because that's when we're getting the return of the pair affecting us here, and they're coming in on the ecliptic, and we're certainly come to this year. Do you remember this year? The where was it? This shot, and well, that shot last year in November. We'll have a look at that as well actually right now. But the last year in 2022 November, and that shot in in March, the beginning of this year, where we had the big earthquake, people calling it an earthquake cloud, and I was saying, look out for it. It's going to look exactly like that, and it's going to cause massive earthquakes and bring crazy storms. And that was the one just before, so that was the pair coming in and going out, and then we've come to this point here where we know we're coming to like I say, we've seen the big build up towards this direction, this kind of like August, September point, and we've just watched the storms get bigger and bigger and bigger, and most of us can't look at this because of the whole carbon zero story that we're in, that is just, to see such a massive volume, and then to see, this this big flyby occur, and that shot I just showed you, where was it? It was that shot posted by World of Signs, in November 2022, blocking the sun exactly. It's just it's mind-blowing to see that we've got so many shots of these objects going by, and ironically World of Signs just showing the pair coming in again now. He's just posted that. Ironically, I said to kind of Becky, I wrote Becky a little letter, and I said, oh, I'm so pleased you got in contact, it's so lovely to hear from her, and just talk about what to do about this whole thing. All I do is observe them and build these astronomical models and try and make sense of this, because I'm of a mind that it's telling us all of this, showing us all of these signs to help us connect to the forward motion of where we're going, our big galactic connection, which we can access through this model, we can begin to access. And so, we're coming to that point now where we're seeing we're seeing the pair. Where are they? Sorry. We're seeing the. Are they both there? We're starting to see the pair come into. We're just starting to see them coming into. Oh, there's Chiron, and there's Kerberos. So they're just starting a very great distance to come from our night sky, just start approaching into our day sky. So they're coming in, they're just getting close to coming over the horizon and into our, beyond this mark here, they start coming into daylight, before this mark here, they stay in the daylight sky, but when they cross this point, which they won't, because they're going to sit behind us, and then they're going to cross in front of us, and they're going to accelerate a lot more here as they come past the sun. And so we're going to get some fascinating sightings coming up because we've got basically Jupiter and these two objects in between us. As we go around the sun, as we get to July, August, they're not going to be too close to us, but all the fun is happening for us in July and August next year, and and November, December, you remember November this year, 51 volcanoes simultaneously going off. It's just exponentially increasing, and the Northern Hemisphere is now the focus of this seismic activity. You know, say we go back to 2011, 2011. March, wasn't it? Yeah, so we come to that kind of point here, 2011, when Fukushima occurred. This actually affected the Pacific. So it happened it didn't happen, so many of these big earthquakes happen on the full moon, when these objects are directly in line with, or they're on the ecliptic plane, and they're directly, say, between, here's the Earth in this case, they'd either be right here and aligning with the sun, and when the moon aligns with the Earth and the sun, like in a new moon or a full moon, and there's also an object in close proximity to that alignment, an object coming in between us and the sun or behind us, but in that alignment, then we will experience a seismic burst. But if it's above us or below us, then instead of it actually happening at the point where the moon is in alignment to the sun, what actually happens is the moon appears to drop down in between these alignment points. So in the case of Fukushima, the earthquake happened almost at the neat moon point. So the object came in and the moon dropped down from its normal rotation on the ecliptic plane around the Earth, and dropped down lower, and it gave a greater pull on the ocean at a different point, and obviously affected the tectonic plates. That amount of, I'm imagining these objects are kind of pulling on the magma of the Earth, as well as kind of affecting the oceans, having much longer, more consistent effect on the ocean floor as well as the ocean. As now, many of these objects are now coming across the Atlantic, so they're affecting the mid-Atlantic ridge, and that's why we've just had this, in 2023, and these at this point here. We've just had, like I say, massive seismology, and we saw Icelandic volcano going off, and then we come to here and we see the Icelandic volcano going off again, exactly as I'm saying and showing you it's going to be in the old model, but it's just much more confused, the old model. So hopefully, and the final bit I wanted to add to this, because that's pretty much it really, but these axis points, because what's actually happening is this is where you can marry up the existing model with this new model, and where you in your mind's eye can marry them up. Whether you can't go fully with this model, you can see that in this model I'm trying to show you that our sun is heading forward and down. Remember, all of these objects, including our sun, Hercules, and the main object, they're all orbiting, are all charging forward in this direction, orbiting in their orbit around the Milky Way. That's their forward motion. They're all independently locked into an orbital relationship with the Milky Way. So energetically, they're connected to that. But this would appear, from out in space, and from what we're experiencing with all these flybys and all our history, this would appear to be orbiting around planet X. This would appear to be orbiting around planet X, or whatever they're orbiting, but actually they're all charging forward. They're in an orbital relationship. These three, 1, 2, orbiting whatever they're orbiting, plus potentially Saturn, which I've now incorporated into this model, going potentially around them. But we don't know. Was it Saturn that actually, or the moons of Saturn that caused the Carrington event in August 1859? you know, and then we came into the inner cluster as we got closer and closer. You know, maybe that's the workings there. This is the first time I've actually ever added Saturn to this model as I'm been trying to work it out. But you can see that this whole system is not sitting on the ecliptic plane that is the main, that not sitting on the same ecliptic plane as as this planet is, as it orbits around the planet X system. It's our sun that's going off at an angle, heading down slightly off this ecliptic plane. And I've tried to demonstrate that with some of these lines over here to try and give you the idea that this ecliptic plane is heading down, and this is the flat plane that all the other planets are actually sitting on, the big, if you like, electromagnetic or gravitational whirlpool that is controlling this big system is represented by this axis point here. And our sun is operating an ecliptic plane that's heading down this direction, heading towards the 21st of June, but heading slightly south of the big ecliptic plane. But our Earth is sitting in the bigger gravitational pull of this bigger system, so its axis sits at this point. So here the axis is sitting up, and so the north side of the planet on the 21st of June is closer to the sun than it would be at this point, where its angle, the axis of the Earth is going to be sitting at this angle compared to the axis of the sun. And so this is what's causing it's these two different axes that cause the so where are we going to be in 2024 on June the 21st to 2024. And so this is a point that you can bring into your mind's eye, not this point, a scary point where, you know, you're going to see lots of earthquakes and volcanoes, which are very normal and very natural, and they're, by all and large, they're very beneficial. They produce massive amounts of carbon dioxide, and the Earth desperately needs carbon dioxide for its big ecological, biological process to sustain life. It's a very healthy gas, even though we've used it as the main kind of demonizing point of what's plaguing our planet. It's probably the most essential. And so this whole story is the story of carbon dioxide, and that forward motion to connect with that forward motion at these times is a magnificently powerful connection for you to make. That's the true forward motion, and to connect with that massive space in this big story. That's the galactic. That's the real force that holds all this together. Without this forward motion of our sun and this forward motion, the reason that why all these planets don't suddenly jump onto each other is what holds these things together is their speed. And Earth and all the planets orbiting the sun orbit relative to the speed of the sun, and that's why the Kepler's rules apply. That's why if Kepler's rules didn't apply, then all of our planets would all jump onto each other in these concentric rings, but it's their relative speeds to what they're orbiting that hold them into this place, because they're all applied, they're all being held in their respective spaces by the speeds of of their primaries. And so the orbital relationships stay as they are, but you can see that there's a very obvious interaction between all of these objects, and has been for time immemorial, and very rarely do you have these big crossing points. But to bring your attention to the 21st of June, there's a magnificent point of connection to Great Spirit available to you using this model by planning a celestial alignment event, however you want to do that, with the 21st of June. And to begin that process of planning that and incorporating some kind of thing that you're going to do on that date, someplace you're going to be, or a celebration or a process that you're going to do, that you're going to incorporate into your life, and you're going to have that as a focal point of what you're going to do on that date, and start aligning and feeling that forward motion of your sun, and how you're connected to that forward motion, because that is your cosmic galactic connection. And that alignment is what we all need right now. We all need to come back to the correct alignment of where our sun is going and how we connect with that energy. So this is a wonderful opportunity now to connect. Can I ask you that if I've posted this up, I've posted the whole model up on Patreon, because I could run it all right now, but I really need some support at the moment, because I am so broke. When I posted the last video, I ended up getting I got £100 donation from someone, and I've had a few members. I haven't managed to access that money yet, but I got a few members, and I was so broke. I missed my phone bill, couldn't pay the phone bill, couldn't pay this, everything. It's just all the bills coming in: van insurance, car insurance, boat insurance, blah 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 insurance, everything coming up, licenses, blah blah blah, the whole thing, and it just absolutely cleaned me out. So I haven't been able to do that much, and suddenly all the money's run out, and I'm so broke. I've got a tenner in the bank and that sort of stuff. So can I ask if you would like to know where the planets are exactly at your time of birth? Can you please join Patreon? The model is up there. Go to it and find your date of birth. And okay, yeah, please join. And find out where the planets were at your... It doesn't mean that these are correct, because I update these models, and as we update them, we can poke them with a stick. So don't see this as a religious and think, oh, it's not near me, I thought I was really close, because I might have these really wrong, and the proportions of these, and obviously the time, these are showing all these planets crossing the ecliptic, but between this only happened, since 2017, 2018, and now, and then it all moves away. And 1939 to 1945, 46, these were the points of, so beyond those times, these objects have been coming under or coming in over, and not been crossing here, but their big central influences have been the bigger picture. So try to remember that when you're going up and down the timeline, trying to calculate your own zodiac, and please enter into the discussion of the next phase of this is going to be building the zodiac that really should go with this, as we understand the solar system in a completely new way, hopefully through this model and through your own workings. I'm not saying this is correct, because I've upgraded this model every 2 or 3 years. I've made these massive steps with all the new sightings, and all incorporating all this understanding from all those that have contributed, and all the sky watchers that have contributed into this massive inquiry to understand, or to begin to get a window on comprehending the fantastical system that we're in. And I'm just going to leave you with, as I close this video, remembering that when we were here this year, at this point, Earth here, Jupiter here, and I'm just trying to think when he posted it. Mr. MBB 333 posted. Remember that shot here? I'm just bring that up. That shot of Alex Luhans on the 1st of September, 2019, where you see the object coming in and going out. I always show that, but that shot, when we can see that that object clearly is not orbiting our sun. And I said, look out for it, you're going to see it. That shot was the game changer that enabled me to begin this whole new model. It was funny. I knew it. I just had no evidence. And when it came in, it was just like, oh my God. And then that shot that was on the US golf tournament last year. And this massive, this year, and this massive blue object comes into view. And the man kind of looking at the guy taking the shot, you know, it's a film shot from the tournament, and the cameraman or the commentary, you know, is just saying strange cloud. It's just like, guys, what do you want? What more can you say when it's just blatantly up there? I've shown you thousands of shots like this over the years, and this year is going to be a year of being next to, you know, you're next to Jupiter now. You're close to it now. And we're going to get really up close to what Jupiter really represents and what its effect on us on a soul level. And these objects are all about soul interactions and the souls that are on planet Earth now, how they regulate. You know, they are the harbingers of souls. That's literally what they are. That big event you saw on Mars with the big flyby that caused that big flash, which would have happened to our planet in 1859. That was a big soul transition. And so that's what you see when you see those big sparks, these big plasma charges, those thunderbolts. That's big soul groups either coming or going from planets. Big changes. That's what they are. These aren't the end of the world events. They are the soul harbingers. This is, for a better word, Jesus. This is the one that can block out the sun for 3 days. When it gets so close to us, and then the sun rises again. This is what Jesus, you know, this is the whole Jesus story that was created by the Roman Catholic Church, or created by the Romans. You know, they annihilated him, and then they were annihilated by the very story that Jesus supposedly told, that they created Christianity. And all the wars that have been brought thereafter have all been built on blood sacrifice of Christ, and accepting that you're a sinner and that you're wrong and that you're bad, and entering into a negative belief system of blood sacrifice and war and perpetual war and suffering and guilt and all the things that they've used to enslave us, just like carbon dioxide, that the earth is dying because of your sins and that you need retribution, when there's something else causing the carbon dioxide. And if we changed our whole story and just went for abundant clean energy instead of this whole carbon zero story, we were all able to see this and realize the woes of carbon zero stories and not coming into just abundant clean energy and a kind of understanding of where our sun's going and our cosmic connection, our cosmic galactic connection, and coming back to that, coming out of these guilt stories, coming out of these heavy sin stories, and connecting to what this really is. And this is real pantheons, the real Roman pantheons. This is what it's all about. that was a shot that was filmed during the golf tournament. And if life can just carry on after that without question, then it represents the sickness and blindness of belief right now. When we can have 51 and then 61 and then 51 volcanoes simultaneously going off, see the most incredible floods, the most incredible flooding when these passages went but what happened. As I said, you see, it was going to be massive. I was talking about bug out bags and everything, and tell me, did lots and lots of people around the globe need bug out bags? And for most of what we've been watching, we've just been preoccupied by the latest ongoing crusade. And they are waging that crusade fully now, trying to desperately, as I said would happen in my book Laughing Gas, trying to get Iran to engage and start the next. They want all out jihad now. This is the whole thing, to plunge the earth into negative vibration, because this is all about positive vibration. This is all about enlightened souls coming to this earth and an awakening. And they don't want that. So we need to tune in now. We need to tune into our peaceful intentions, come out of our guilt, come out of our blood sacrifice, come out of our negative belief stories, and come back to the bigger picture, come back to our galactic alignment. And so it's Christmas Day, and I know that, Jesus supposedly was born today. And we've got to update our Jesus stories and our belief stories, and may come out of these belief stories. And I'm tired, so I'm going to have to call it a day there, I'm afraid. Honey in the Heart, 1,000 thank yous. I'll leave the link in the description if you want to go onto Patreon and check out and see the Dobbs model there. And I'm going to start interacting with that more. But like I say, I've just managed to squeeze the last of life out of this computer, but the batteries had it. How I managed to make that model, I don't know, but all my batteries are gone. Like, batteries are gone in the boat, on the computer, in the truck, everywhere. The whole thing, I'm just totally out of money. Ironically, I finally finished this model now, and every last penny I've got is gone. So it's just like, so maybe my own understanding of changing my own direction, where I'm seeing the sun going, will bring some change as well. And hopefully I've corrected all the mistakes, or a lot of the mistakes that I've made in the previous model, to finally give you something a bit more defined and a bit more easy to kind of like see in terms of a vision in your meditations and in your prayer and in your connection, your energetic connection to the galaxy, and to have that, and thus your connection to all the great intelligence that exists in the galaxy that you can connect with. And sometimes you don't know how to connect with that, and hopefully this will bring about that connection and help us transit peacefully through this time, because there's going to be a lot. The ego agenda is desperately going to go and push into war and low vibration, because that is its access point. But it doesn't have to be the whole story. This can be, we can wage peace, and galactic alignment will help you. Oh, it's late. I'm off to bed. Night night. Ciao.